Good morning, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. This video is in response to a subscriber question we had regarding how do we trim veneer off of the edges of a round hole, for instance like on a dial. So in this episode I'm going to take you through the process of cleaning off an instrument panel, getting the veneer ready, sticking veneer on, trimming veneer off, cutting the dials out, and hopefully you can learn something from this. Okay, so we've got the true instruments panels here. If you'll look, or if you'll notice, this one was re-veneered a while back, but if you look closely you'll see there's a slight difference between these two instrument panels. So basically in terms of instrument panels on these cars, these were the older model panels, and they were more for the European spec of the Triumph 2000 Mark II. I don't know if you guys in the UK, maybe one of you can comment and let me know if you guys had these panels. We call them the stag-like panels. As you'll know, or if you know, the Stags has got the separate rev counter speedometer and then the smaller dials around it, where on the early chicanes, or at least in the South African case, you had the multi-information instrument and a speedometer without any rev counters. So what we're going to be doing in this case is replacing this panel with this panel on this specific car, as the client requested that. What you'll also see in this regard is that this one looks a lot better than this one. This one was re-veneered for this client a while back, and this is a donor one that we're going to use to upgrade the client's car a little bit. Okay, so we've got this all pulled apart now. As you can see, there is some slight cracking and lifting. This is also a good time to have a look at the back of the panel and check for any delamination that's occurring on the wood. I don't see anything so far that I'm too worried about. Everything still looks very solid. Everything still looks pretty much as it should. So the next part would be to start pulling the veneer off, and usually, especially where you've got a dash that's already busy cracking, it is possible to give yourself a start by finding a loose piece of veneer. Careful, these are sharp, so make sure that mommy or daddy is supervising when you play with these. And we do have a spot. There we go. So we do have a good starting point where we can get rid of the old veneer. A lot of people don't pull the old veneer off, basically just sanding the varnish off and then putting the new veneer on top of the old veneer. Personally, I'm not a fan of that. Mainly for the reason is, or the main reason for that is because this wood has lifted, it has cracked. So everywhere where you've got a ridge forming on the veneer or on the varnish, the veneer itself has actually started pulling up and away from the wood. So by sanding this flat and just putting new veneer on, you've already got a loose substrate underneath. Personally, I know there's a lot of guys that says it's fine, you can do it. I'm not a big fan of doing it that way. I prefer to have a clean, fresh start. So I'm going to carry on, probably speed up this next bit because it can be a bit boring, but I'm going to speed up the next bit and start getting rid of all the old veneer. Okay, so as you could have told, or as you could have seen, a lot of this stuff came off quite easily without any issue. That's why I said I don't want to put the new veneer on top of the old veneer, because it's already loose. It started coming apart, and that's where a lot of people also have a misconception about their car dashboards by saying, no, my veneer is still good, there's nothing wrong with my veneer, when in actual fact it has already started pulling loose from the bottom, and it's a question of time before it's going to start cracking and starting to look pretty terrible. This corner is quite stuck down, so it's not easy to pick these off like I did with the other side. So a quick nasty way of doing it, I just need to fit a new blade quickly, so I'll do that while explaining. So one of the easier ways, or one of the other ways of doing this, is to I'm out of blades. That helps. Okay, won't be doing that. Normally if you take a blade like that, you can move it underneath and work it loose like that. In this case, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be applying a little bit of heat with the heat gun, and with the heat gun going, I'm going to start picking all these off. Okay, so you would have been able to tell that that came off a lot easier after applying some heat. So there is a little bit of delamination in this corner, a little bit over there, and then we've got a little bit on this side here. Nothing serious, but you can fix up with either pieces of off-cut veneer. Try and just go a little bit thicker, or you could use, I've fixed them with wood filler as well, and that's been perfectly fine. I've never had issues with the wood filler pulling off or anything like that. So I'm going to be doing that in this case. But apart from that, we've got a really good base, a solid foundation to work on. I don't see anything that I'm too concerned about or anything that I'm too worried about. So I'm going to quickly prep this one, and after we've prepped this one, it's going to be a little bit of sanding work, and we're going to start gluing new veneer onto it. Okay, so now we come to a bit of a time-consuming situation. We now need to wait for that filler to dry out. Once this is dried out, then we'll give it a quick sand with probably about a 200 grit or so sanding paper. Just a quick hand sand, just to get the sharp edges down and just to get a nice smooth surface. And after that, we can start looking at gluing it. So stay tuned, because I'm going to do something completely different with gluing on this one. I haven't tried it. I've been told it works. I've been told it's just as good as my method, but a lot faster. So stay tuned and find out what it is. Okay, so our filler is dried for the most part. Looks like we're good here. For the sake of a little bit of speed, I am going to be using my mouse sander to sand this down. Remember, it's a quick light sand just to flatten out the surface. We're not worried about it being perfectly sanded smooth, because you are going to sand away. All we want to do is just remove whatever of the old glue is still there and just get it going smooth. That's basically what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, so after we've done with the sanding, we've got a pretty smooth, clean surface. Reason why I said we're not going to sit too long with the sander, if you look in that spot over there and that spot over there, you can see that the lamination on this wood is a bunch of very thin plates. So it's very easy to sand through, it's very easy to sand in divots. I'm not concerned about that we have divots in this one. I think we're pretty good on how we come together at this point. So now for the glue up. In regards to the glue up, I'm quickly going to clean up here while I explain. So normally what you would do, again, as with anything in life, veneering has opinions, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions around veneer and what to do and what not to do with veneer. Now, I've been told that I'm using the wrong glue, and that I should be using hide glue and I should be using bone glue and all that type of stuff. Personally, I was taught what I'm doing by using normal wood PVA glue, the white glue. It's never failed me. I've never had issues with it, bar one. I did veneer work for a customer, and the wood panels that came off of the car was originally a similar type of veneer, but what happened was the veneer went bad. The guys that had the car did what they thought would be best to do, so they sanded it down back to the bare wood, and they painted the entire panel with roslyn oil. Might have looked good in the beginning, but it didn't look good when I got the panels, and for some reason that glue, I don't know if it had to do with it pulling into the wood or if it's absorbed into the wood, but I struggled quite a bit to get veneer to tack to that. Eventually, in that case, yes, I did spend the money and I used bone glue on that, and so far they've been holding up. But hide glue and bone glue, they're quite expensive. It's a lot of work to get them going. I honestly use normal white glue. It's never failed me. I've never had issues with it. What I normally do is to apply a layer of glue on the one side of the wood, and then I would then put this into a press and leave it overnight to dry out completely. However, I've been told that there's a quicker, easier way of doing it that works just as well. I've never done it before, and I'm a bit nervous and a bit apprehensive, but I do want to try this. Fortunately, this customer is also a very good friend of mine, and if this should fail, I can always get the part back from the customer and I can fix up and redo the job and make it right. So if this fails, it's not an end of the world situation. The customer knows what I'm doing. I'm going to share this video with the customer as well when I'm done with it, so the customer is fully aware of what I'm doing here, and there's no secrets or anything here. This is purely experimental. Want to see it work. I want to see how it works, and if it saves a bit of time and you don't have to spend 4 days doing a piece like this, then fine, so be it. But yeah, so basically what the suggestion is that I've been given is to paint a thin coat of glue on either side. So normal, your normal cold glue, your normal wood PVA glue. Again, this is what my local hardware sells, and this is what I use. It's been good to me. I trust the product and it works. Obviously where you are, you're going to have different brands and that type of thing, but for all intents and purposes, this is normal white PVA wood glue. That's all there is to it. This is going to be a little bit messy. It's not going to be nice, but let's try it and see how it works. Okay, so now it's a waiting game again, because now we need to wait for both sides of the glue to dry. Basically what the suggestion is, and like I said, I don't know if this is going to work, this could backfire completely on me, I don't know, I've never done this before. So in theory is that you glue with normal PVA glue, glue both sides of it, let it dry out completely, and then put the two surfaces together and iron it in place. The theory is that the heat from the iron softens the glue again, and with the iron you force the two wood layers together, and as the iron moves away, when it cools down, the glue contracts and it pulls the veneer closer to the wood. That's the theory behind it. So whether that works or whether it doesn't work, I don't know. But glue's dry, and I have many serious doubts about this idea and whether this is going to work. When I say confidence level 0, I don't see this working, but let's give it a try. So yeah, that'll do, pig. Okay, so if everything goes according to plan, I should just be able to take one close iron and we start ironing. This is not gonna work. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is working. Okay, definitely seems to be some bonding happening. No way. It just seems a bit loose, I don't like that. Okay, but let's give it some good heat. Okay, this is pretty interesting stuff. Okay, I'm starting to turn into a believer here. Okay, this is interesting. It actually seems to be taking well. I also know the iron is going the wrong way around. The closest plug point for the, or power outlet for the iron is that side, and if I try and bring the iron over this side, then the power cord hooks on the veneer. Okay, I'm starting to get a bit more hopeful in this plan. Okay, so let's give it a bit to cool down, because apparently it's during the cool down phase that the magic happens. Ah, nope. I see loose edges. I see plenty of loose edges. Okay, granted, it could be but I'm not giving it enough time to cool down, so that it adheres. So basically you're heating it up so the glue gets soft, and with the glue going soft, when I move the iron away, the spring tension in the wood, the fiber tension in the wood wants to lift it back up and peel away. But nope, I'm not all that impressed, to be honest. Although on this side we do have pretty decent adherence, but on this side there's a couple of spots where I'm not too fond of how it's gluing down. That gluing process is a fail. I don't recommend doing it unless I did something wrong and there's somebody that knows better that can tell me where I went wrong. I don't recommend it. I wanted to fix all the loose parts on here and ended up redoing the entire veneer thing. This is the next day. Yes, I wear the same shirt again. Okay, I've already cut a few of the holes, but now we're getting to the part where I'm actually going to answer the subscriber's question as to how I cut the holes. So basically what I do is I use a router bit. So I'm going to show you like this. This is a guided bit without the bearing. Okay, now the reason I did that, where I removed the bearing, is if you look on the inside of a wood, there's a lip here. That bit without the bearing is exactly the depth I need to get that. So it just makes sense. Okay, and it's not that I'm doing such a long cut that I need a bearing there. It's a quick shortcut. Also cut at a very slow speed because this is veneer. I don't want to have too high RPM and rip the veneer apart. Disclaimer, and before the tool police attacks me, or the people against tool abuse, I know that I'm using a drill press. I know it's not what they made for. I know that you get tools for their job. I've got two problems with using a router on this piece of wood. Number one, it's curved. The router's foot, or at least my router's foot, doesn't want to follow that curve without catching in one of the other holes and causing a rip out. Okay? Because it's curved, I also don't have anything where I can safely clamp this in place without it moving or anything like that. So it's a safety concern. The third thing is, my router is not a variable speed router. so I cannot control the speed. Maximum speed on my drill press is about 1000 RPM. So I've got more control and I can do a cut very cleanly. The downside, and you'll see in the next part of the video, is I can only do up to there before I hit the back post of the drill press. So it means I've got to do one cut around, stop, readjust the piece, do the final cut. This hole I can do. Now you'll ask me, why did I leave 2 holes for the demonstration? Easy answer. If you look at that part, that part, that part and that part, you will see that they are notched out, which means when the router bit gets to that point, it goes in deeper and then it cuts a deep hook out of the veneer. So what I've done to get past that is I've 3D printed a ring that acts as a separate guide. It fits into the back of a hole, and now because I'm using the drill press, it's held in place by the foot of the drill press, so this can't move around or slide out or get lost or anything. It's a little bit undersized, so it can move easily, and the router bit basically rides up against it like a guided router bit should. So well, now it's gone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly set up the drill press. I'm going to adjust cameras and all that type of stuff, and then we'll move on to that side, and I will show you how I cut the holes out, and hopefully this makes it a bit easier for you guys as well. I'm first going to cut out the big ring, and then I'll use the little spacer ring and do the second ring, and try and stay out of the camera's way in the process. Now beat the back post of the concrete. Okay, then all we have to do is readjust a little bit. I don't need that one. And there's the first one done. Right, now for the second one, slightly different situation. We are going to use the spacer ring or the guide ring that I've made. It does fit into the back of the wood like that, and then we just set up according to that. Okay, so like I said, with the drill section, we've got a slight bit of an undercut, but we're going to just sand that out using, if I'm going to get this right, but we're going to sand that out using a normal piece of sanding paper and a little bit. And that's it. So this one is basically ready for sealing and varnish. Maybe a little bit more sanding at the top, but generally that's it.